Hello, I'm Eric Wooldridge, and I'm Associate Professor here at SCC, and will be your instructor for your online, hybrid, or web-enhanced course. And I just want to introduce myself as we kind of get started with how this course works and how you can retrieve information from our online server that can complement your in-house class or your completely online course. Now, our courses work a lot different than most online classes. Most other classes rely heavily on Blackboard and others and YouTube and those kind of things. Although we do use YouTube, most of the information that we garner and give to you comes through our online server. So this instructional video is a basic overview of how you will be taking information from our online server and then bringing it to your computer, accessing it, using it, and then instructions for how to send your information back. Now, if you're in one of our audio video editing courses, your form of turning in your homework will be slightly different. However, for those of you, for most other classes, you're going to be turning in the same way. So what I'd like you to do for this course, especially when you're going through some of these lectures, when you're going through this introductory video, is get out your notebook, pen and paper, and take real good notes on how the whole system works. Just because it's online doesn't mean that you won't actually need to be taking notes during some of the lecture material. And it really will benefit you well in being able to pull up those notes and figure out, kind of the things that you're supposed to do and go through the step-by-step process. After you go through it a few times, you won't have a problem remembering it, but starting off, it is encouraged that you have some written instructions and written notes to follow to help you along in the process. So anyway, just want to say hello, and I look forward to an exciting semester with you doing some of this work. My information for email, phone numbers, all that good stuff is all available on your syllabus. So feel free to contact me anytime. I'm here to help. Most important thing to remember with this class is that everything that you need is provided, all the lecture material, everything's there. However, you are responsible for going and getting it. So take the initiative, and I hope you have a great time with the class and learn a whole lot of things. So again, looking forward to working with you, and I wish you well during the course of this semester. We'll see you. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is how to access the online server. Again, this is not a typical class where you will go to Blackboard and retrieve your information and your assignments and everything. Basically, everything that you need is going to be on this online server. This online server can be accessed from your personal computer at home or at KCTCS schools. One thing to keep in mind, though, I'm going to show you in this video, depending on if you have Windows XP or Windows Vista or Windows 7, how to access this server for that purpose. Now, the instructions are pretty straightforward, and they're going to be here in video form. However, we also provide written form available to you if you want it, and just trying to make sure you understand how to get there. Essentially, what it boils down to is that you're going to create a shortcut on your computer that will access a specific IP address, which is going to take you to a folder on the internet that's going to have two folders in it, one called Contents and one called Homework. And you're going to be able to go to those two folders whenever you want to and pull information from there to your computer, and then do your assignments and everything, and then take your assignment and put it back on the server. And that's essentially how the class works. All your assignments and everything all come from that server. Additional lecture material is all there for you to access and retrieve at your discretion. Okay? So essentially, keep that in mind through the whole process. It'll make more sense. And check out the next part to figure out how you can access it from your own computer. Again, I say this very strongly. If you have a computer that is hooked through the internet through a wireless connection, it is likely to have problems because wireless connections do not do well with downloading large files. It may be fine. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying that you may have problems, and we've had a lot of problems in the past. So it's always best to access your work and post your work through a computer that is hardwired into a router or to the internet connection versus using a wireless connection. Another thing you can do again is taking a flash drive, plugging it into a hardwired computer, hardwired to the internet, get the information onto the flash drive, and then copy it to, or take that flash drive to a laptop or something that you want to use it on personally. So just a couple of things that we've run into over the years and want to make sure you're aware of that. Okay? Check out the next part of the video and take good notes of it so that you know how to access the server and set up the server onto your computer. Alright folks, for you XP users out there, the first thing that you're going to do is look at your desktop screen here, around all your myriad of icons that you probably have. We're going to find an icon called My Network Places, and I'll show you the icon right here. You can also access this through your Windows button, but typically it's going to be on your desktop screen. And if you can't find it, or maybe you've accidentally deleted it off your screen, you can go to Google real quick and type in something like "can't find My Network Places," and it'll guide you on where to find it. But it's in there somewhere. It's still on your computer. Even if you don't see the icon, you can find it there. Anyway, once you have located it on your screen, you can take off from there. We're going to learn how to access the online server and create a shortcut through this process. So hang on one second. There we go. Popped up. And you're going to go to Add a Network Place, which in this case I've got a small screen, so let me expand it out for you a bit. There we go. Add a Network Place. Okay. I click on that. When it pops up, this is a basic wizard. And we go through the process. We're going to choose another network location. And we're going to type in the following address. FTP:// 216.69.28.81. And we're going to hit next. You're going to leave it checked on where it says log on anonymously and hit next. And you're going to type in a name for this place. You may call it online server. That's what I typically call it. It's going to do is create a shortcut with this name. So I'll just call it online server 2 because I already have an icon on my screen. And I'll hit next and open the network. When I finish, that's fine. Hit finish. And here it is. A little bit big. Let me roll it down a little bit. And I'm in the network. Now the cool thing is that you should now see a shortcut, right here it is, called online server, whatever you named it. It should be right there, and you should be able to double click on it at any point in time, and it'll bring up this as long as you have an internet connection. Now once you're here, you have the ability to go into contents and go to homework and go to the welcome folder. And from the welcome folder, you need to install this codec, which just basically means you just double click on it and say run, tell it to run. A little extra screen pops up here, you say install, and it tells you installation is complete. And you are now good to go for viewing the video file. Now the next one is the fact that you have this start video right here, which explains the whole process, how the class works, and how you access the server and all that good stuff. So what you want to do though is you don't want to actually double click on this icon. You want to copy it to your desktop screen. So what I'll do here is I'll slide this over, give myself a little bit of space, and minimize that. And I'm going to click this and release it here, and it's going to start copying down. So you can see it right there. So it's copying down to my desktop screen. One thing to note, that while it's copying down, it will probably appear wherever your cursor is at the moment that it finishes downloading. So you may want to leave your cursor kind of in a spot where you will know where to look. Otherwise, it may not show up right. Or you may be somewhere lost in a bunch of icons on your screen. Happens to me a lot. So anyway, it's coming down now. Almost done. And just about finished. And there we go. There's start. So, with the start file right there, I can simply just double click on it. Or I can right click on it and tell it to open with a specific program. For example, Windows Media Player or Winamp. I use Camtasia Player. And sure enough, there we go. Of course, you can't see it. It's on the other screen. But here's the video. Here's a little screenshot of the video playing out here. All right. Now, once it's open, you'll be able to go through the process and see how things work and get a great little tutorial. But that's the process for doing it if you have Windows XP. Now, if you're on a newer system like Windows Vista or Windows 7, your procedure is going to be slightly different. You're going to start off at the My Computer icon. You're going to go in it, or you may access My Computer from your Start icon down at the bottom of your screen. Anyway, once you're in here, you're going to right-click, and you'll have an option down in here somewhere to say Add a Network Place. Once you select it, you're going to go through the exact same procedure that I showed earlier with the XP. The only major difference between the two is that where in XP you start the process from My Network Places, Windows Vista and Windows 7 you start the process from right-clicking inside My Computer in here and saying Add a Network Place. It should be one of the options down in this area. So that's the major difference between the two. Go ahead and get started with that and see if you can access the server. Of course, if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, this is a video to give the information on how to access the online server your first time, or if you need to re-access it, if you're using Windows, Vista, or Windows 7. It's a very simple process. It's very similar to the XP format. The only difference is you have to know where to go to set up the network place. So what you see on my desktop screen here is you see my Computer icon. However, that's not the only way to access it. We are going to, but another way, which is probably a little bit more familiar to those of you who haven't done a lot of customization, is that you can find your computer option somewhere in here too. And I have mine right there. So it may show up here. Either case, wherever you find your computer option or icon, you want to put your cursor on it, right-click, and say Properties. Notice that I didn't say Open or anything like that or double-click. I right-clicked on it and said Properties. Little window's going to pop up, and here we go. It's telling me about my computer, and we want to verify what kind of system we're using. For one thing, we're going to look at the 64-bit operating system. That's what this is. That's going to come into play later on when it comes to software, so I want you to be aware of where to find that. 64-bit operating system is installed. Okay? Now, you can also do the exact same thing by finding the icon on your desktop screen if it's there and hitting Properties with a right click, and it shows you the same thing. Now what we're going to do is going to start again, find a computer. This time instead of right clicking on it, we're just going to left click on it, and we're going to see our computer options. It should show us our operating C drive, any type of other drives you may have available to you. And we're going to come out here in this white space, and by the way, just so we're clear, you can do this by double-clicking on your shortcut on your desktop for computer as well. Either way, you get to this screen, you get your cursor out here in the white zone, you right-click, and you say, Add a Network Location. And you click. It's going to pull up a wizard, which is very similar, like I said, to the XP format of doing this. Again, it's the same pretty much with Wizard or 7 or Vista. We click on Next. And we select Choose a Custom Network Location. We hit Next. And we type in the address. Now the address that we'll be using is spelled as such. FTP, colon, not semicolon, but colon, // oops, // well, I'll just show you what it's going to be here. Here we go. FTP, colon, // 216, period, 69, period, 28, period, 81. Again, that's FTP, colon, // 216.69.28.81. And you should also have a copy of these instructions in your PDF file that was given to you for this class. Once that's typed in, you just simply go to Next, and you make sure that Log On Anonymously is checked. Now this is typically the case, so you don't have anything to worry about. And hit Next again, and you need to identify the name of the network location. We typically like to call this the online server. And I suggest you do that too, because that's what we reference it throughout the course. Now keep in mind that we hardly ever use Blackboard for our work. Everything that you need is provided through the online server. So online server, and then hit Next. And it should allow you the option to open this network location when I click Finish. I hit Finish, and sure enough, it's pulling it up. And here you go. There are two folders associated with the online server, Contents and Homework. Now, Contents is where you're going to go to find your lecture material for your classes, and Homework is where you're going to go to post your material. Now, one thing that we do provide is a welcome folder within the Homework, so we're going to go ahead and go inside there, and we're going to go find the welcome folder. Once we've gone into welcome, it's going to have all the information that we're going to need to kind of get started. Okay? There's some instructions on how to get the student AutoCAD for free. There's a codec that you have to install, so basically you will double click on it. It's going to allow you to install it. You say run. It's going to pop up and say, do you want to run this? We click on yes, and we hit install. Okay. Now, just to make sure you understand, the installation of this, until it installed correctly. The installation of this codec is what's there to provide the option for you to actually play the videos associated with this class. Everything that we do is based on videos. All your lecture material, your assignments, all based on videos. So we want to install the codec first, otherwise you can't correctly play it. Once that's done, you're going to come here to Start, and you're going to copy it by right-clicking on it and saying Copy. And you're going to go to your desktop screen, and you're going to right-click on it in here and say Paste. Okay? Now it's going to start downloading the video file, and it may take a few minutes depending on your connection. I'm not going to go through the process because we've kind of covered what we need to. But that's how you get started with this class, is you first of all access the online server, and then you go to it, install the codec from the welcome folder inside Homework, and then from there, and we'll close this out, you will watch the start video, which will give you instructions on how to begin the class and a lot of the basics of it. Now, just so you know, this class is very much based on the combined folders of the Contents and Homework, but just so you are aware, your Contents folder is where you're going to go to get your assignments and your lecture material. So what you'll do is you go to Contents, you'll find your class, let's say your class is CAD 200, and you'll go into the Vids and Lessons folder. Inside Vids and Lessons, you will find your Lesson 1, you'll go in there, and you will copy the lesson videos down to your desktop screen. Again, keep in mind, we don't try to run the videos from the server. We always right-click on what we need, copy, select our desktop screen, and then tell it to paste. Once it is fully downloaded, then you can watch the videos. Now the videos again will contain your assignments, your lecture material, everything that you need to get started with the class. And you will turn around and post your homework to the Homework server. Now the start video will walk you through a lot of this as well. We just provided this video to kind of help guide you along, but hopefully you'll find it useful and very handy in case you change computers. Keep in mind, if you do change computers, you have to reinstall the codec and the online server. From here on out, by doing that installation, you should be able to find the online server shortcut inside your computer. You can just double click on it and it will pull up the homework contents and folders there. Again, you can also find it under Start, Computer, and then Online Server. Either case, you now have a shortcut created within your computer to get the online server as long as you're on the internet. Okay? Well, that's a quick tutorial. Hopefully you've learned a little bit. If you have any questions, let me know. Alright. Now one thing to understand very clearly is, and we'll use this little graphic interface here as a descriptor, is that when you're sitting on your computer, and here's your computer right here, there we go. There's your monitor and keyboard and mouse, and you access the server, you're basically going to a place, a accessible server where we have basically two folders. Okay? Here's folder 1, here's folder 2. Now one folder is your contents folder. Contents, there it is. And the other folder is your homework folder. Alright, now I can give you a picture of that real quick. Here we go, right here, you can see them on the screen. Contents and homework. And these basic folders are essentially where you're going to get everything that you need for this course. or for additional lecture material. So within the contents folder, you will be locating information in terms of learning lecture material. Things that will exist in contents will be things like lectures, supplemental information. You can receive some software information or software to download and install for courses that require software. Let's see what else here. You can receive codecs, which codec files are used to actually allow you to run specific videos. And you get the Camtasia, spelled that wrong, player. This is something that you can use in the event that your typical video player can't play the videos. This is your backup, the Camtasia player, so it's available too. So all this information is provided within the contents folder. That's where you're going to go to get that type of thing. So, for example, let's say we go into a contents folder here. Find the folder I just had. There you go. I go into the contents folder, and I take a look at perhaps a class CAD 100 ME205 or something like that. I will be able to go in and find my videos and lessons. All right, so I'll go in and get my videos and lessons, and we'll just kind of sketch this out. We'll go to the contents folder. Then we will go into our videos or lessons. And then we would go pick out the particular lesson that we're interested in. Perhaps it's lesson 1, which would be obviously a good place to start. Now typically, for most classes, once you're in lesson 1, your lesson 1 will include things like videos. And the naming convention is usually pretty straightforward. Video 001 or maybe lesson 1, something of that nature. You're going to get basic video structure. Now sometimes we actually have folders within the folders for sub-videos, which pretty much makes sense if you get a separate video category. But anyway, you're going to go get the video, and let's say that we've got a video file. Let's just say we see a file sitting in there, and it's called Introduction. Okay. Now here's the difference between a typical class and the way that we can do things in terms of lecture material. This introduction file needs to be copied down to your computer. So how does that work? What do we do to get this introduction file back to your computer at home? Let me add some keys here for our keyboard, make it a little bit more realistic. There we go. Well, the way that we actually get these files back to your computer is by good old-fashioned download. So we are going to download these video files back to your computer. Okay? So how do I do that? How does that work out for me? How do you make that happen? It's very, very simple. Let me demonstrate. So first off, here I am on the screen, and I'm on the online server, and I go into contents, and I'll pick a class. We'll say this CAD 200 class right here. Okay. Now I'm just double-clicking to go inside each folder. And obviously there's videos and lessons, and you can see them in order. But let's say that first off, I just want to watch this CAD 200 intro AVI file. Well, the procedure is very, very simple. You see this screen right here, this is my desktop screen. This is the screen that you typically see when you're in your typical computer environment. You may have like something on here, a picture of a landscape, whatever you like, you probably have showing on your desktop screen. Now, you may have different forms of this, no matter Windows 7, Vista, whatever you're using, you're going to have a screen right here to work with. The simplest and easiest way to transfer video files from the server to your computer is to simply just click on the file, hold down your left mouse button, and drag it over your desktop screen and release. This begins the copying process, which you can see occurring right here. It's copying the file to my screen. And it will pop up there. Now I have my icons turned off, so let me turn those back on real quick. And there we go. Now you can actually see it had them all my icons turned off. So now you can see the process. And now once this file's on here, we'll be able to access it. We'll talk about that in a second. But that's basically how you download a file. Now some people will take advantage of folders and such, and they may want to keep a nice folder on their computer just for these video lessons. So watch this. I'll create a new folder and call it CAD 200 videos. And I will open this folder, maybe manipulate this little screen around just a bit, and I'm going to, this time, drag the same video file from the server. You can see it right here in the server, and we'll drag it over to this new folder that I've created, and it's going to copy the same file there. The advantage is now I have a nice handy folder to drop these files into versus actually having it on my desktop screen. You can do it either way, it doesn't matter. One way or the other, the file's there and it's handy to use. And that's essentially what you do to download. You pick the video that you want, you can click and drag and get it to your computer back here. Now, here's a common mistake people make that you do not want to do. Absolutely do not want to do this. Some people will think that, well, they're on the server right now, and they will try to watch the video from the server, which means that they'll just double-click on this file and try to pull it up in their player. It may work for a little bit, but it's going to be incredibly slow and problematic if it does work. Don't do that. You want to copy these files down to your computer. Do not, and I'll write this out for you, do not try to play videos from the server. Exclamation points. This only creates a lot of problems for yourself and for other folks trying to use the server at the same time. So do not try to do that. Copy or download the videos. If I can spell videos, there we go, to your computer first. I had a hard time typing today. There we go. That is what you want to remember. Copy the files down your computer. Now, the more organized you are with your folders and such on your computer, the better off you'll be. But that's how you get the lecture material. It's a very straightforward process. Once you get the lecture material, you can watch these video files as much as you want to and keep them on your computer. Now, that takes care of what to do with your videos. Now, I'll go ahead and give you the example here, like in the CAD 200 course. You've got lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc., etc. And within each of these lessons, I'll expand upon this a little bit. With each of these lessons, you typically have a lecture video and an assignment video, or an assignment description. You don't necessarily have to have a video, but a lot of times I do have videos of your assignments. Sometimes I do have just written instructions. Sometimes we even have notes that came from the video or the assignment. And these are in PDF form, I should say lecture. So I actually sometimes on my videos I include the notes from the lecture just for your reference. Okay? So that way you can kind of look at the diagrams and such that I used in my notes for, I guess, more detailed analysis. These are typically in PDF forms or DWF forms. And a DWF file is similar to a PDF. You have to download a special little program called Autodesk Design Review to look at them, but they are the diagrams and such that I used in my notes for, I guess, more detailed analysis. These are typically in PDF forms or DWF forms. And a DWF file is similar to a PDF. You have to download a special little program called Autodesk Design Review to look at them, but they are very handy. Most of the time, however, they're going to be in PDF. So, because just about everybody can access a PDF file. So that's where you get your lecture material. So you will go from the server to the contents folder to the videos and lessons. You go to your lesson, and you will download the video lesson to your computer, watch it, and then be able to learn the material, take some notes, and then move on to doing the assignment that comes in the video as well, the lesson. And again, slow going when you get started. The process of actually figuring out what you're doing takes a couple tries, but then once you get the hang of it, you'll probably enjoy the format and the way it works. Again, I do warn you that internet connections that are spotty, for example, if your computer is a laptop and you're trying to Wi-Fi it, you may have problem downloading these video files because they're very large in size. So it's always best to have a landline connection. So if you have a wireless connection, go over to your router and plug your laptop or whatever into that router so you can have a direct connection and have more success. Another way of doing this is some people will take flash drives to the computer at a local school or even just a hardline computer and download the files to a flash drive and then take them home and watch them there. Okay? So that is how you do get a hold of the material to your computer. Just copy it down from one or the other. Now, once you have sat on your computer, gone through the video lesson, and done the work or done the assignment, it's time to actually transfer the information back from your computer to the homework folder. Okay? So this is how you get your information back. Now sometimes I will just have you email me your assignment, maybe as an attachment, and that's not a big deal. You can check out some of the video material we have on how to do that. But a lot of times I will have you actually transfer the files back by the homework server or homework folder on the server. Emails are no big deal, and most of the time those are just quizzes or maybe tests, but for homework assignments, that's where they're typically going to go. So here's how that works. Again, it's a very simple process. Every time that you create, let's say, an assignment and save it to your computer, we'll just call it something like, I'll just say CAD 200 underscore star 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 underscore star 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 This is what we refer to as a file naming convention. Okay? There are three components that are pretty much required and being universal for most every assignment that you turn into the homework server. First of all, obviously you need to have your class information. You know, your class that you're actually in. CAD 200, CAD 100, ME 205, VCM 210, whatever the class is, that's the information put right here. All capital letters. Then you add in an underscore. And this is what we're talking about in terms of naming your files. Like when you do a save as on a Word file or an AutoCAD file, whatever you're doing, when you do a save as, this is what you want to name the file to be. So anyway, we've got a underscore, and then you have these three asterisks. Now these three asterisks basically represent the letter of the semester and the year. So for example, if you are taking this course in the spring of 2012 or summer of 2012, you would actually input S12. Okay? So this is what you would put right here. Now if you happen to be in fall 2013, you would put in F13. This helps us to denote what sort of semester we're dealing with for our records and for your records too. It's a good way of keeping track. So these stars, or these asterisks, represent the naming convention for the semester and year in whichever case you're taking the course. Then we have an underscore as well to separate the next set of asterisks. And this set is your initials. For example, my initials are E and W, and that's what I would put there. So that's pretty straightforward. Then we have another underscore, and then we have the Lesson 1, Assignment 1 acronym. If it was Lesson 2, Assignment 1, it would be L2A1. If it was L2, Assignment 2, it would be L2A2. This is what you use to identify the file of association with the lesson itself. So for example, let's say I was doing Lesson 5, Assignment 1 for CAD 200. My file name that I would save the file as is CAD 200 underscore. Let's say that it's spring 2013. So S13 underscore ENW underscore lesson 5 assignment 1. And that would be what I would save my file name as. Pretty straightforward, don't you think? Very simple to kind of work with and remember. Now, do not use my initials, obviously. You put your initials in right here. I have actually had people turn in file names with my initials on them, just out of confusion. You put in your initials here, not mine. And just remember what semester and year you are in, and what lesson, assignment you're doing, and you will be just fine. And it's pretty obvious that you're going to be putting your class in there correctly too. Now, I do get real picky on lowercase versus uppercase. I do require that all files turned in when their file names need to be this. So no matter what class you're in, this is pretty much your naming convention for the course. The course underscore the letter and year, S or F or SS or F, S for spring, S for summer, or F for fall, and the year, your initials, lesson number, assignment number right there. Okay? Now for quizzes, we pretty much do the same thing. You'll just use a Q here and then a letter or number, whatever it's told you. It'll tell you in the instructions. And if it's a test, essentially the same thing. This part is the same. You'll just change this. So just kind of remember this or write this down. This is the way that you correctly do file names for this course. And we have some other material as a reminder for that as well. Now, once you have named your file correctly and are ready to turn it in, here's what's going to happen. What I'll give you is just a basic file example here. Here we go. Let's say, nope, that's the wrong one. Let's say, for example, here we go. Here is the file I want to turn in. Now, this is a former student that was in fall 2011. And let's say we were ready to turn this particular file into the online server. Very simple procedure. I'm just going to either drag or drop, or the simplest way is to select the file in question, right-click, and say copy right down here, and then go to the online server, go to homework, go to the class in question, go to the assignment in question. Once you're in here in the white space, right-click and say paste. It immediately copies the file from your computer to the online server and is now there for viewing. Now, keep in mind, what we do is typically, once files are turned in, we will copy them down from the server and delete the file. So if you turned it in and then you go back a day or two later and you see that there's nothing here, that just means that we've copied it down. However, it's okay to question, to check it, make sure when we send some of your grades in periodically that you've got everything turned in. But most of the time, we've copied it down and deleted it off, which, is understandable. We can't keep those files in there all the time. So again, to turn in file assignments, let's do another example here. Let's say I'm going to turn in homework lesson 7 assignment 1. I'm going to select it, right click, and of course this is on my computer here at the desk, and I say copy. Then I go to the server, with the right server here. Assignment in question. Find the white space within that folder, right click and say paste, and it copies it there, and we are now good to go. All right. Okay. So there you have it. That's how you turn your homework back in. And just to kind of recap, essentially everything works like we said. You start off with your computer. You go here, I'll just draw another sketch here. You start off with your computer. You go to the online server, you go to the contents folder, and there we go, just write a CON there. You go in there, you go into your class, and you get your videos and assignments. You copy those back to your computer. You watch the videos on your screen, whatever it's doing, some kind of little graphic there. You learn the lecture material or do what it has for you to do the assignment and everything. Once you do the assignment, that you name it correctly, you name your file, and then you copy it back to the homework server. within your course, your class, and your particular assignment. So that's how the cycle works. From contents back to you, do the work, and then you post it to the homework server. Now, a lot of folks want to try to use Blackboard or something of that nature, thinking they have to go to Blackboard to get their assignments and such, but that's not the case. All your assignments come from the contents folder. Software can be found there. Additional information, additional software can be received there. Codecs, software that you can use to play the videos, all that's found on contents. You bring the work to you, you do the lecture material, you do the work, and then you name it correctly, and then you post it to the homework server with just a simple copy-paste. And you can always watch this video over and over and over to kind of get that, remember how to do it, and there's also written instructions on how it works too. But that essentially is the basic process of the course. Hardly any Blackboard whatsoever. We typically do a little Blackboard at the very beginning just to make sure the system shows that you're in the class, and then from then on, we hardly ever use Blackboard. But we do use email, so we always want to keep checking your email too, because sometimes I send quizzes out via email. All right? So that's the basic principle on the flow. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, let's talk about taking notes. Don't, again, expect that you will be not having to take notes or not having to write stuff down or remember things just because you're dealing with an online class. It's quite the opposite, actually. You probably end up getting more lecture material from an online class or a hybrid class than you do a typical in-house sit-down environment. So keep in mind, you need to have some notes. And one of the things I recommend is always a good old-fashioned notepad, something that you can keep for the entire class and flip through as you need to recall some information. During tests and assignments, you often will be able to use notes depending on your particular test case, and therefore good notes and good information is always going to be to your best benefit. So when you sit down to watch some of this lecture material, get your notepad out, get your pen out, and take good notes. All right? Whatever form of note-taking you prefer is up to you, but definitely want to do it. Don't just sit there and expect that your mind will absorb the information just because you see it once. You need to write it down. Another thing to consider is that obviously a lot of the lecture material that I do is sort of in an overhead view where you see the textbook and you see some of the notes I'm taking. Don't just follow along. Get your book out and take the same notes. Mark through the same diagrams, circle the same pieces of information. Our field and in the field of design is very visual and reference-minded. So if you have a textbook for your course, make sure that you get it out when you're going through the lecture material and use good note-taking. Mark in your book. I know you may not want to do that, but I do highly recommend it because a lot of these textbooks you may decide that you want to keep at the end of the semester. So having good notes is excellent. Also, I also highly recommend putting information in the very front of the textbook for reference in terms of what pages to flip through. Sort of your own table of contents. It really speeds up the process and it served me well for many years. So I pass that knowledge on to you. So that's my little spiel on note-taking. Don't forget to do it, and choose to. It will definitely serve you well in the end. Okay? Alright, before you can start watching the videos and lecture material that you may have downloaded to your computer, we have to make sure that your computer is set up and ready to play the actual media. We have a couple ways to do this. Most of you all will probably have a video player already on your computer that you typically use. It may be Windows Media Player, it may be Winamp, could be QuickTime, who knows. But before you do, you need to understand that there are some codecs that you may need to install for the videos to play correctly. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm on the online server now, which you can see here at the FTP216, etc., etc. And I'm going into the contents folder. Now, as in the contents folder, I'm going to look up the software folder and double-click it. And I'm going to go into the Camtasia player. All right. Now, just so you understand, this Camtasia player is a backup player that we use that will automatically play any of our video files. our video files are made with the, or most of them are made with the Camtasia Studio, and therefore this little player will work. And just so you understand, this little player does not install on your computer. It simply just, when you activate it, it simply runs a little program that you can open the file with. Alright? Now, there is another way that you can get the files to play on your computer with your own videos. Okay? And that's by installing the install codec. Now, a codec, in case you're not real familiar with it, is basically a type of little file that attaches itself within media players to allow it to decompress specific video file types. Every computer program that's used, or most computer video programs, compress video files down with a specific codec, and you just have to make sure that your media player has it as well. So if you go into the contents folder on the online server, and again go into software, and we're not looking at Camtasia Player, we're looking at this little file here called install codec. You can see it there. Basically, install codec is an executable. It's a tiny little thing that you can actually run from the server if you want to. I can just double click it right now. It pops up and says, do you want to install? I say run, and it says run again. And sure enough, it installs the codec right on my computer, and I shouldn't have a problem. Most of the time, or we'll say 99% of the time, that allows whatever video player that you have on your computer to play our video lecture material without a bit of problem. However, again, if you have a problem, then just take the Camtasia player, copy it to your computer, and I'll just demonstrate it real quick right here. I'll take this and drag it to my computer, which you can't see off the screen, but it's there. There it goes. Here's Camtasia Player. I open it up onto my computer here, and it has this cool little icon that says CamPlay. CamPlay, real quick double click opens up the player, and I can just go to File, Open, pick the video that I want to watch. Let's see here. Well, we don't have time for that, but I would just pick a video real quick. Let's say this one. Hit open, and it will play the video right on the screen. Okay? So that's how you can use the CamPlay as a backup in case your media player doesn't play it. Now, with the codec installed, though, it typically should, so you shouldn't have much of a problem, but at least we have a backup for you if that is the case. Now, you may have noticed that while you're in the software folder of the online server, that there are several other softwares available. We've got the Cam Studio, the AutoCAD executables, the design review program, the Google SketchUp. This basically is a nice little place that we provide software for students. Now, there are ways to get all kinds of different software through like our Autodesk package and any student package. And depending on your class, you may have software, you may not. But if you need some, it is here. Now, there are specific instructions for individual classes on how to get their software. For example, if you're in the CAD 100, 200, ME 205 courses, you may come here to get your executables to install the software onto your computer. However, it's just as easy to go to the Autodesk website and get the information there. We do include videos and reference material on how you can get the free software for your own computer instead of having to buy it. But we do also provide it here. So those of you who may need the AutoCAD design review, you can get it here too. So this is just this contents folder, software folder is a nice little place to get stuff that you may need. All right? Okay, well, we'll see you. So there you have it. You've received the basic introduction on how to get your lecture material and how to take it back to the server, how to post your assignments, and sort of the basic formats for taking notes during this course. Now, individual courses are obviously different in lecture material, but the basic format on how we get you the information and how you turn it back is pretty much the same. If you have questions, of course, we're always willing to help. Some of the common problems that people run into with this course is given the high data flow that we have with the size of video files and such, is that you may have difficulties downloading the information with slower internet connections or perhaps a wireless connection. Sometimes they skip out and people have a tendency to lose files that way. If that's the case, remember you can always go take a flash drive, plug it into a school computer and download it all at once when that is the case. So, you know, kind of internet problems or wireless problems that you may have will interrupt the server downloads. Just be aware of that. Otherwise, we can always find a workaround for you. So, again, good luck, and I am excited about this semester and hope we have a good time. And again, feel free to contact me anytime. I'm here to help and help you learn this material and get the most out of this class that we can. All right. Well, we'll see you later on, and I hope you have a great first week.